Give you a quick glimpse of the finished product there. But this is kind of a fun uh, effort. We enjoy going out antiquing and so forth. Karen and I decided to go over to an antique place here up north, and we were looking for just whatevers. I knew I had wanted a post bell for some time. I've been looking for some and found one. If you remember me mentioning it a while ago in Georgia, it was missing the saddle, so that was kind of a bummer. But we found this post bell at a vendor, really nice guy, had a bunch of stuff that's kind of up our alley. And it turns out there's a lot of history behind this particular bell. I don't know who owned it and so forth, but it was made by the C.S. Bell and Company, which is significant. It's in the casting of the bell. There's no real easy way to date these bells other than C.S. Bell. I wrote my notes down, so I got to cheat. C.S. Bell were made under that name and in the cast of the yoke from about 1875 to 1882. He started, Charles Singleton Bell was the sole proprietor at that time when they started making bells. He had made some other products. If you go look up C.S. Bell, you'll find they made a bunch of other stuff. Some folks may misrepresent this as a cast iron bell. It's not iron, it's actually steel. It's a steel alloy. So it's a very strong, and they were known for their tone. So they became very popular for the tone that they gave. This particular one has stamped on the yoke C.S. Bell and Company, which means that it was manufactured somewhere between 1882 and 1894. So this bell is somewhere around 130 years old, still in great shape. You'll see some close-ups of it later. The yoke, or the saddle rather, had been cracked and welded together, but because it's steel alloy, it was much easier to weld than maybe a cast iron piece. Um, just to complete this, it eventually became known as the C.S. Bell Company, and that happened in about 1894, and they continued making bells under that name until about 1970. Somebody bought the rights to make the bell, but Charles had given up the rights to make bells, I guess, in about 1970. Now, when my bell was made, he had gone into a partnership with his son, Charles E. Bell. So that was kind of that story. But the whole thing was a great experience, and I had a lot of fun doing this particular project, and the bell sounds just fabulous. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the bell and what I did to get it up and mounted. I talk a little bit about the weather and some about my voting experience here in Florida and how it's a little different than it is in California. Spoiler alert, they actually asked me for my Florida ID and signature on the spot. Anyway, let's get into it. Well, today I'm going to try and get the pieces and parts together to mount the post bell that I got yesterday at the antique place. So pretty excited about this. I've been looking for a nice post bell, and I'll give a little bit more history on this thing. But I got it set up here in the shed. So I got all the parts laid out on my vintage cart, which is probably only from about the 1960s, maybe 1950s. But we have, and I'm trying to remember all the parts, the bell, the yoke, and I can't remember what this part's called. But we've got all the pieces. It turns out this was probably made in the mid 1880s. And we know that based on the casting numbers and the company name. And I'll give a little bit more in detail on that. But roughly from the 1880s. So, set the post holder there. So we're thinking of putting it right here. So I got to clear this stuff out of the way. It's really pretty much right in front of the house. So hopefully people don't think that that's our doorbell. I suppose that wouldn't matter too much, but it's super loud. These bells in the era that they were used were, like I said, designed to call people back or in emergencies to get the neighbors together. But the sound of the bell was could be heard for about 2 miles away. So folks over at the Lake Mary Jane is just over that way, less than a mile. So they'd probably be able to hear my bell from there. But this will be fun. So I got to go get a 6x6 post. I'm thinking that the modern pressure treated wood isn't going to look very period. So I am going to clad it probably in fence boards and 45 them so that it looks like a single solid beam, and then distress and stain it or burn it or something. You get the board to caramelize so that it seals it well. Something like that. But yeah, it should be a fun project. Yeah, this stuff digs super easy. So I'm down about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. That should work out pretty well. A little pile of dirt going here. Stays really solid too. I mean, the walls don't really cave in as I go. So that'll be awesome. I'll run to Lowe's a little bit later today, grab a 6x6 post, a couple bags of concrete, and some fence posts, or fence boards. Redwood, maybe I should do cedar. I don't know, see what they have. I only need 5, 1 to screw up and 4 to use. So we'll cut those at 45s and be done. It'll be awesome. Oh, I gotta get bolts too. Lag screws or bolts? What do you think? Probably bolts were more traditional. Oh, we had a little bit of rain. Probably not even enough to register on my little rain meter yet, but I was hoping it did not fill up my hole. And I'm also hoping that the thunder goes away. But let me measure how deep this hole is. Hopefully it's 2 feet. Yeah, I can pour a little bit of concrete in there in the bottom. Definitely over 2 feet. So we got about almost, what is that, 8 inches that we can put a little bit of concrete in the bottom of it to get it to set up. I didn't check to see if I was center in that. I may have to adjust it, so I'm going to kick some more of the stuff around the edge and make sure that I've got this hole in the middle. That'll be good, huh? Well, I'm trying to find a break in the weather. I've had thunder kind of all around us. Makes Karen a little nervous, I think, thinking there's lightning out there. But I haven't seen any strikes nearby. It's not raining at the moment, but I'm hearing thunder. I want to get this one cut done and see if I can get the hanger mounted, or the saddle. So I'm going to use a chainsaw. So I've kind of marked off where I need this to go. I have never really made a chainsaw cut like this before. So I'm hoping I can do this. I don't know if I want to cut sideways or cut down. Might be easier to cut sideways on my knees. I'll see. So the objective is to get that to set in there. To get it to set right. It's like I just need to trim off a little bit right about there. It should slide the rest of the way in. Yeah, a little rough around the edges. Not bad for my first chainsaw cut. Went a little bit too deep, but it's okay. Let's see what the other side looks like. Oh, losing my balance here. Yeah, that side looks pretty good. So now I need to mark where the holes are and drill those through. Where that thunder's still a little bit to the south. Sounds ominous, but I'm not seeing any flashes. So all that thunder's coming from that away. No rain here though. Well, I tell you, this cart is pretty cool. That cart turns out to hold 4,000 pounds, or probably at least the weight of the farm truck there, if not most of the weight of the tractor. Not quite the pickup though. But yeah, just being able to put the work on here, roll it out, do the work outside here, and then pop it back in when I'm done is pretty cool. Alright, I just saw a flash. It's been a while since the thunder came. So I missed with my 1/2 inch, so I think I'm going to have to do a 5/8. All I have is a paddle bit though. I hate making a hole bigger with a paddle bit, but I'm gonna give it a shot and wait for this thunder. And then I think call it a day. All right, that'll work. They all go in past the yoke. So now it's just trim the other far side out and call it good. Then I gotta distress the wood. I think what I'm gonna do is wire wheel it a little bit and then maybe torch it and give it that kind of texture. Make it look like it's been here since the 1880s. That's perfect. Little not quite centered, but nobody will notice that. Only me. That it's just slightly off. But you know what? For my first chainsaw cut and freehand drill, I like it. And I like that a lot better than mounting it on the outside. Most folks will put this saddle on this face instead of insetting it like that. I think it'll look way better inset. So, and more thunder. All right, I'm moist. I think I'm going to call it a day. And tomorrow we will cook, wire brush, and I got to take the yoke and the bell and get those. I'm just going to lightly go over them with the wire brush and then shoot some clear on them. The cicadas are going crazy today. And yeah, good times. So the cool thing with the way I did this is I can just take my cart and give it a nice push. It didn't roll straight. But anyway, so now it's in there. I want to get the Tesla wheel. I moved it, get it in the shed, and call it a night. So I put this rain gauge out the other day. And hey Thor, how you doing? A little less than 2.5 inches of water or rain, and that was over the last 24 hours, really. What doing, Thor? You exploring the water and the rain and the grass and nature? Hi. So I went yesterday and we had our election, our voting in Florida. And it was a little different than it is in California. California, I think I remember just walking in and telling them who I am. Well, you walk up to the person with a book that's got your name in it. Yeah. And then they find your name and you sign on the line. They hand you a ballot and you go mark it. Then you hand it to a person. All right, enough of Thor. Hold on. So after handing it to, I don't remember if, I guess maybe I did scan it. I don't remember that part. Scan it into the reader, or you hand it to somebody and off it goes. But that was California. So here in Florida, what they did is, well, it wasn't overly busy. The cool thing is it was at Wycliffe. For folks that don't know, Wycliffe is the Bible translators, folks. Both Wycliffe and Campus Crusade for Christ is right here in Moss Park, their headquarters. So, pretty cool. But anyway, so walked in, waited my turn to talk to somebody. They're at a computer terminal kind of thing, touchscreen-ish thing, and asked my name, and I showed them no, they didn't ask me my name. I showed them my Florida driver's license. They scanned the barcode on the Florida driver's license. It brought up my name. They verified that I was William Allen. And then to further verify that she's still holding on to my Florida driver's license, they flipped the screen around so I could use a digital pen, and I sign William L. Allen on the screen. And then she's like, okay, let me compare that to what the signature is on your driver's license. Okay, I verified that that's you. Then they grab a serialized ballot and ask me to verify that that's the serial number on the ballot. And then I hit accept. I go off and I mark it up. And then when I'm done, I walk over and there's an attendant at the scanner, but I put my ballot into the scanner and scan it in and done. So I didn't see anybody complaining or anybody walking out because they didn't have their driver's license or anything like that. Everybody's, pretty much understood that it's something that you're going to need. Hi. So that's the way it went, and it was very efficient. It went very quickly, but I felt a lot better about that because I'm like, yeah, they absolutely verified that I'm who I said I was. So anyway, that's my story. That and almost 2.5 inches of rain in one day. Good times. Cicadas are active today. Man, those guys can get noisy. So one of the things I'm going to try and do is give some protection to that bell. And I'm trying to get my shed doors open here. So going to clear coat the bell itself and the yoke and that kind of thing. And in order to do that, I want to knock off as much of the rust that I can on it. So I'm going to chip some of that off, and I want to age the post that we're going to use a little bit. So I'm going to use a wire brush and just kind of zip through some of these real quick and do that. So the first part would be, it looks like somebody painted this brown, maybe? Kind of hard to tell. It would be to kind of lightly go over some of this just to get some of the, I'm going to have to do this two-handed, but I want to get some of the raised parts cleaned up, and then the inside of the bell's got a lot of rust, and then this has got some rust on it. Supposedly that should pop off, but it looks like somebody welded it on solid. Maybe they got tired of it being sloppy. But so that's what I'm going to do a little bit of. All right, so I got it all kind of, see if I can get a shot of this, wire brushed, stressed. Next, we're going to take a torch to it. Yeah. All right, let's see how this goes. Where's my thing diminishing here? Try that. Wow. Seems that my tank leaked or something. Alright, not sure what was going on, but I got it working now. There you go. Just 3 more sides to do. Alright, so I got all 4 sides charcoaled, so it looks a lot more rustic now. So we'll stick that in the ground here in a while, get the yoke on it later, and get the bell mount on it. So I guess the next step is to get some clear coat on the bell and the saddle and the yoke, and maybe I'm going to see if I can get some white paint on the highlights of the text just to make them stand out a little bit more. Ooh, Dougie. All right, well, it's hot and it's lunchtime. I got to get back to work, but I got the post set, lined up pretty much straight with the door. I just, usually when I set these, I just pour dry concrete in and kind of throw some water in and mix it, poke at it, pour some more concrete in, mix it, poke at it. But should be good. I think I just need to shim out that yoke, or maybe I won't. I didn't quite get it perpendicular or parallel, whatever you want to say. I think once the bell goes up on there, nobody's going to notice as much. So there you have it. Another project done. Well, mostly done. Once it sets up, I'll set the bell up on there and put the rope back on it. but should be awesome. Hopefully people won't use it as our doorbell though. Alright, so I have the bell sitting here on the ground on a pallet. No, I don't think I'll use a pallet jack or the pallet forks to move it. I'm going to load it into the farm truck and drive over to the post. I can get up in the bed of the farm truck, I think, and lift it up there. So that's the plan at the moment before it starts raining. So let me get into the farm truck. It was an intense face, wasn't it? This guy fired up. And driver forward. That there should do it. Alright, let's see how this goes. This feels good and solid. Wow. A bit heavier than I had thought. Get this up there. Not. Smokes. Phew. Well, that works. And it rings. Getting too short for this. All right, now I just got to put the rope on it and call it done. Well, there you have it. Complete with the rope. I don't know, it still kind of tilts a little bit one way. I don't know if I want it to tilt one way or the other. I was hoping it wouldn't when I spun it around. So let's see, from the house, it's going to look like that if I spin it around. You can see the clapper. I don't know. What do you guys think? That way towards the house, and that way towards the house. Here you can see the C.S. Bell and Company, Hillsboro, Oregon, or Ohio. A little bit better. But yeah, there it is.